What happens when a sitcom idea gets rejected by every major network, then suddenly becomes a yes because one actor shined in a few scenes of a hit movie? So how did a new show go from a rushed mid-season replacement to a steady hit while also getting kneecapped by the network? Let's find out. This is the history of Perfect Strangers.
Sometimes you just get a feeling like you need some kind of change.
Back in 1984, Dale McRaven came up with the series with producers Tom Miller and Robert Boyette. Miller said that the spark came right after the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles for a sitcom idea about an immigrant in America. But when they pitched the idea to ABC, CBS, and NBC, they all said no. So the concept existed, but it didn't have a home. The idea only moved again once Bronson Pinchot got attention for playing Serge in Beverly Hills Cop. Miller and the producers pitched him as the center of the immigrant comedy, and ABC had a change of heart and agreed to take on the project. But lo and behold, the next problem hit straight away. They were too late. Pinchot was not available because he had taken a role in the NBC series Sarah with Gina Davis. But luckily for them, Sarah failed and was cancelled in May 1985, and Pinchot was available. So the producers pushed the show forward and would take inspiration from buddy sitcoms like Laverne and Shirley and Mork and Mindy, both produced by the same team. The show eventually would follow Larry Appleton, a Wisconsin guy with a big family who finally moved into his first apartment in Chicago. Then Balky, his distant cousin, arrives at the door from the island of Mypos and shows up with plans to move in. Balky had been a shepherd back home and learned about America through scraps of pop culture that didn't always line up with real life. Larry would initially push back on the living arrangement, then would decide to take Balky in and teach him American life. With all that in place, the next part that needed solving was the American cousin. At first, the show went with comedian Louis Anderson, but after filming the pilot, the powers that be were like, that's a nice try, but not quite what we're looking for. And that was the end for Anderson. So the search for Balky's cousin went into overdrive. The producers ran through several actors for the part, trying to find someone who fit the rhythm. Eventually, Mark Lynn Baker got the role after he auditioned for the part. Lynn Baker showed immediate chemistry with Pinchot, and the series raced into production. With the lead pairing set, the show built its early world around a small group of people who could bounce off that core relationship or suffer from it, or both. In the first season, Larry and his cousin end up working at the Ritz discount store right under their apartment building. Their boss and landlord was Donald Twinkie Twincasetti, played by Ernie Sabella. In the second season, the series added Jennifer Lyons, played by Melanie Wilson, and Mary Ann Spencer, played by Rebecca Arthur.
Where's Larry?
Oh, he's on the floor.
The opening music came from Nothing's Gonna Stop Me Now. Jesse Frederick and Bennett Salve wrote it, and it was performed by David Pomeranz. The duo also wrote the themes for other Miller and Boet series like Full House and Step by Step. They also handled episode scoring for the first 2 seasons. Those duties rotated in later seasons with Steve Chesney and Gary Boren. The opening sequence ran for about 90 seconds and it played like a quick setup. Later years cut that intro and new visuals showed Larry with Balky around Chicago landmarks. The series premiered in March 1986 as a mid-season replacement, and ABC didn't ease it in gently. The network parked it at 8:30 p.m. on Tuesdays, right between Who's the Boss and Moonlighting, and that placement actually paid off fast. The pilot pulled in around 17.2 million viewers. That wasn't a polite arrival, it was a loud entrance. Even more telling, 5 of the first 6 episodes landed in the weekly top 10 nationwide, which made the show an instant hit in 1986. critics enjoyed what the show was selling. The humor played broad and throwback, and the real weapon was the charm between the leads. It wasn't trying to be fancy, it leaned into goofy moments and clear sentiment, and viewers responded hard to that physical comedy and the chemistry between the two. On set, the show's identity leaned hard into physical comedy, and that came with its own rules. Pinchot and Lynn Baker pushed to perform many of the big slapstick bits live in front of the audience in a single take. That approach helped build the show's reputation for set pieces that played almost like controlled chaos. The famous Dance of Joy came out of that same space. The writers gave a basic idea of a celebration, and Pinchot and Lynn Baker improvised it on the spot. It stuck, it returned, and it turned into a signature. Even Balki's most famous line came out of a moment like that. "Don't be ridiculous" started as an ad-lib. In the pilot, Balki had been scripted to answer in a different way when asked a question about a color TV, but he improvised the line instead. The audience responded, and the producers turned it into Balki's catchphrase going forward. And that overall pattern kept repeating. The writers folded in ideas from the two leads, and the two of them had real influence over the comedy style that ended up on screen. The series also kept refreshing its format in ways that changed the vibe without swapping the core duo. The on-set mood didn't stay locked in one mode for the whole run. In the early years, reports described the production as fun in a way that matched what the audiences saw, but later on, tension showed up. In later interviews that came up, Rebecca Arthur, who played Marianne, said Pinchot's behavior towards other cast members got worse as the success got bigger. She described him as a true Jekyll and Hyde and said he shifted from sweet and fun into someone she called a monster.
I dream to come to America, the land of the free, the home of the braves.
Some of the most visible behind-the-scenes decisions were not about scripts or stunts, they were about scheduling. In the middle of season 3, the network decided to move Perfect Strangers from its successful Wednesday slot and placed it on Friday in front of Full House. Then it tried to copy the Friday formula onto Saturday. By fall 1991, the network wanted a family-friendly comedy block for Saturday nights, aiming at preteens and younger viewers. So ABC announced the series would move over to help the new Saturday block. The ratings dropped hard, so ABC reversed course and took the show off the Saturday time after a couple of months. By mid-1992, what was supposed to be the 8th season got stopped at 6 episodes instead of the 13 that had been ordered. Those 6 remaining episodes still got made. The final batch was filmed in summer '92, so the story could wrap up, including a 2-part finale where both couples had babies. But ABC didn't air them right away. The last episodes sat in limbo and later played out as a summer burn-off running through July and August '93, as ABC decided to cancel the show.
No matter what the odds are this time, nothing's gonna stand in.
After the show's run ended, the complete first season DVD was released by Warner Home Video in 2008. Then Warner Home Video put out Perfect Strangers Season 1 and 2, but the remaining seasons didn't get released at the time. The reason given was music licensing costs. The show used popular songs in a lot of episodes, with Balki usually singing them. But that all changed between 2018 and 2019 when the remaining seasons started getting released on DVD. Now, for fans who want to add the series to the collection, I've added a link in the description below, and there should be a card popping up on screen to help you check it out. Now, the series didn't just end and disappear, it actually left a trail. One of the biggest surprises came through the side door. Harriet Winslow worked as an elevator operator, and Carl showed up in the later episode Crime Busters. After 2 seasons on Perfect Strangers, Harriet got her own spin-off. In the fall of 1989, Family Matters launched.
Nice to meet you.
How do you do?
Harry runs the elevator here.
Whoa! Well, your job must have its ups and downs.
The show also got referenced in scripted TV, including The Leftovers, where a character's obsession with perfect strangers became a plot point. Master of None included a storyline where the characters pitched a remake of the show. And then Hollywood did what Hollywood does. In 2021, a reboot was reported as being in development at HBO Max. But it was with a twist. Instead of Balky and Larry, it focused on two new characters played by Robin Thede and London Hughes, who learned they were mismatched roommates and cousins. It was described as a reimagining that paid homage to the theme of the original series but wasn't a continuation of the old story. But since then, it stayed in development. By the end of it all, the series stayed remembered as an optimistic buddy sitcom with a catchy theme, a simple setup, and a legacy that kept leaking into other shows, other jokes, and even other franchises. Now, I really enjoyed this series as a kid, and watching a couple of episodes to make this video, I understood why it worked. Pinchot and Lynn Baker are absolute gold together. As a buddy comedy, it stands tall. The timing, the reactions, the physical comedy, it all clicks. And that's not an easy thing to do for 8 seasons. Now, I'm not going to pretend the series stayed perfect for its entire run. Most series don't. But even with that dip, the series still remains hilarious, entertaining, and a feel-good sitcom that earned its place in television history. But we're not done yet. Next time, we take a look at an 80s classic. Until then, why don't you check out our previous video on Young Hercules.
And darkness. Zeus, king of the gods, ruled the universe.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.